John, let's mention a couple things about the James Madison game. The 10 turnovers, of course, that's the gaudy number everybody wants to talk about. But I really don't know if that tells the whole story because the 5 you had in the first quarter, you only give up 1 touchdown there, and your defense really rose to the occasion in that first 15 minutes.
Yeah, I thought our defense, for the most part, played a really good game. We had the 2 long runs at the start of the second half, but I was happy with our defense. That's a good football team we were playing. Obviously, the turnovers is just, it makes for just a bad taste in your mouth, but it just kept happening and we couldn't stop it.
And it also overshadows the fact that you had a lot of success against this team offensively, especially early on.
Yeah, we did, and I thought the game plan was good. And football's a game of emotions and momentum and adversity and so on, and we just got hit in the gut so many times there at one point. It was hard to regroup and hard to really just play the level of football we played.
And still, as badly as things go, it's just a 21-10 game at the half. And then you mentioned those 2 long runs by Marcus Marshall, 65 yards, and then come back on the next drive with 87 yards. Those really, really seem to be the ones that were kind of the daggers. They
hurt us bad. It's not, to be honest with you, it's not their execution, it's our not execution.
Mm-hmm.
That's the case quite often. You lose games because of not somebody's that much better than you. You just make mistakes, and those were 2 huge mistakes in the game.
So you're in the unique position now, John. I'm going to have you put your analyst hat on here for a second. You're the only team in the country that has now played. Both of the teams are going to play for the national championship. What is your assessment of the matchup between North Dakota State and James Madison?
Well, it's going to be a good game. They're 2 really good football teams, and the different teams. North Dakota State, I'm certain, based on a lot of situations, are going to try to run the ball, and they always have. And I think they're beat up on defense, so they're going to want to slow the game down. And James Madison's going to have to strap it up and defend power. And they play a lot of man-to-man defense, so they can load up the box. So I think it's going to be a really good football game, and 2 really good football teams, well-followed and supported teams.
So let's talk about your season as a whole now. It obviously did not end the way you wanted it to, but you cannot ask for a better season overall, a record-breaking season with 11 wins, your second straight top 8 seed. You got 2 playoff wins at home this year, first trip to the semifinals. I mean, it really, really did check a lot of those boxes and just another layer added on to the success of this program.
Yeah, I'm proud of what we accomplished. I'm proud of our football team. I'm proud of what we do in the classroom. We've had a really good semester in the classroom, too, with all this stuff going on, with competing in the playoffs during the finals. So, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We said a number of years ago the goal is to win a national championship, and I'm so proud that our guys continue to pass the baton to the next class and say, take it further. And recently we have. Next year we got to take another step.
What are you going to remember about these 15 seniors, John? I mean, they will leave as, so far, the most successful football group ever in South Dakota State history. What are you going to remember most about this group?
A number of things. Probably the most, just the type of person they are. There are so many great people and great student athletes. No one's been decorated more than Jake Winneke. Mm-hmm. Brady Mingarelli is just one of the best leaders I've ever been around. Jacob Onosorgi is the most honoring, one of the best leaders, one of the hardest working. Dallas Goddard is probably going to be the best chance in the NFL for a lot of years based on what he's accomplished. But collectively, one heartbeat, they are unbelievable young men.
John, it reminds me of something that was said during the broadcast on Saturday. And I don't know if anybody ever relayed it back to you about what the commentator said about you and about Jake Winneke and your trip to New York City. But they said it was the first time ever they had ever talked to a football coach that had mentioned one of their players was a great servant. And that really stuck with those guys. But that really is the theme of your program. Be more than just a football player and more than just a student. Be a good servant of everything in your life.
Well, yeah, the Lord gives you, in this case, unbelievable athletic ability. In this case, surely great minds and a platform. And there's a reason that our manual's called Mad Manual, make a difference. And that is serving. That's having a positive impact in every situation you're in. And once you set that heartbeat, that spirit a fire in your program, guys just run with it, and you get out of their way, and just I can't. We don't have enough time to talk about just the little bit of these guys have done. They've affected the community, the region, SDSU. They're great men.
So let's go to 2018 now. Obviously, some holes to fill, especially on the offensive side. But Taryn Christian's back, Isaac Wallace, Mikey Daniel, Cade Johnson, a guy that we saw really, really electrify the kicking game this year. We'll get to see more of Cade catching the football next year. And so there are still plenty of pieces back on the offensive side for you next year.
Yeah, and those are the guys you're aware of. We've got an unbelievable freshman class that the ones we redshirted have had the best fall in the weight room ever, is what Coach Moe said. And so those guys are being prepared, getting ready for spring ball and be able to jump in and impact the game. But yeah, I know this too. Taryn's going to have a bad taste in his mouth, and with the career, not the career, but the season ending the way it did. So he'll come back with that glare in his eye and ready to go. And we got to get some fat guys ready to play. Mm-hmm. We lost a couple good ones there, but really excited about the guys we have coming back.
And then you lose a couple of guys up front on the defensive side as well. But at a linebacker, you are once again will be loaded at the linebacker spot next year.
Yeah, we will. We don't lose a linebacker, and Coach Rogers does an unbelievable job with those guys. We got a young guy that we redshirted that's having a great fall, great job, doing a great job in the weight room. So probably the guys on defense. We'll lose Kellen. Mm-hmm. Who had a huge impact, and then our two starting safeties who played a lot of football here.
And then the kicking game is back, and the kicking really, really took a big step forward this year.
Yeah, I thought Brady Hale had the best improvement, and Chase had a breakout season. They had a great season. So our snapper, Brady Sorensen, he got 3 years left. Really feel good about those guys and their potential impact in the game and thus in the season.
I know you like to sit down individually with your players, John, and what are those conversations like? Are you talking about personal goals, team goals? What kind of things do you cover in those conversations?
We talk about specifically with the seniors. I'll visit with all 15 of those guys, and we talk about what they would do different and what they would want me to do different in the program. I tell them it's their last chance to make a play, even though they're not on the field, have an impact. We talk about the 3 secrets to a national championship. What would they say it is? No one ever says 40 time or weight room. They talk about things that are more family and love oriented. So, and then with the underclassmen, I visit with all those guys at the end of the season. But if there's not the season, but the spring ball. But if a young guy need to visit with him about grades or something, then I'll bring him in and make sure he knows we're here to support him and we want him to have success.
Let's talk about 2018 real briefly at Iowa State and then hosting Montana State. So a really fun and exciting start to the season next year.
Yeah, our guys will look forward. We were without an FBS game this year, and that's always a unique feeling to play that game. And Iowa State's doing a great job, so that'll be a huge challenge to go down there. Montana State, as I watched their scores, had a decent year and are getting better. We have another game to schedule yet.
Yeah.
We just can't find somebody that's willing to come to Brookings, South Dakota. So I hope we get that scheduled soon so we can focus on it. But 18 is going to be a good year.
And that's kind of the good news, bad news, isn't it, John? I mean, you're getting to the point now where you're not hiding from anybody anymore. And so to get people to come play you, all of a sudden people look at, we'll go someplace else where maybe we have a better chance of getting a win.
That's totally true. Part of it is where we're at. There's not a lot of schools to pick from here. That aren't plane flights, but then again, when you're a top, in this case, 5 team in the nation, it is a battle, and so there's one of the negatives, I guess, of being a good football team. We'll take that part of it. And
despite all the success, I imagine that your program is as hungry as it's ever been.
Yeah, I can't wait to see our guys get into the weight room in January, come back from Christmas. They set the lofty goal. We've talked about it. We talked about winning a national championship, and our players pushed us to be a top 2 seed. We never got to that point, but there's a really mature confidence in our program and a hunger to go further, and it takes a lot of hard work, but the focus is there. The guys are there. Our assistant coaches are unbelievable. It'll be a good fall next year.